now live, and I hope everyone's had a moment to join onto the panel. I'm sure we'll see a few more people joining over the next few minutes, but we'll just jump right into it because I do know everyone has a busy week and we want to respect everyone's time limits today. So we are going to start with Mitchell Kiernan, and we're going to discuss some regulatory questions that have been posed. Mitchell, let's start with, what is the NHP licensing process and what is needed to achieve that goal?
Thank you for the question, Marie. So this process involves the submission of a product license application to Health Canada. The documents that are normally contained within a submission are cover letter and the product license application form. Other documents may be required based on the classification of the product and who is submitting the application, depending if it is the applicant or a third party. Other documents that are often submitted are designated party authorization form or DPA, a senior official letter, finished product specification form, monograph attestation form, an efficacy safety summary report, and research articles if applicable or class 3. So for Quality Smart Solutions, after the project is quoted and onboarded, we proceed to formula review. At Quality Smart Solutions, we review your labels, formulas, and raw material certificates of analysis prior to ensure an agreeable and accurate submission. We also use the process to ensure you are well informed as a future license holder. The formula review is where we provide a document with any questions or requests regarding outstanding information that is crucial to the application, or items that Health Canada may question during their review. We discuss attestation to monographs and any research requirements to support safety and efficacy. We also discuss your proposed health claims here. After completion and agreement of the formula review, we proceed to draft the application for you with all the associated forms that I mentioned. Then it undergoes an internal quality audit prior to being provided to the applicant for their review and approval. Please know that more recently, Health Canada has made site information a requirement on application forms and will request this during the process as well. This means listing the manufacturer, packager, labeler, warehouse, and importer information to the form, or marking it as hypothetical if some of those are still up in the air. Once everything is approved, we will submit the application to Health Canada via e-post. Health Canada will review the application and reach out if any details or confirmations are required via an information request notice or IRN. After everything is addressed with the regulator, you'll be assigned a licensing decision, your NPN. Should you need to make any changes, you can submit notifications for a minor change, amendments for a major change, or a new application for a fundamental change. At Quality Smart Solutions, we're happy to look into your projects and help with any applications or classifications that you're working on. Oh, you're on mute, Mary.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there. So why would someone get an NHP license?
Yeah, so this is a relatively simple answer, shorter than the first one. An NHP license is a legal requirement for sale of health products in Canada, along with site licensing and compliant bilingual label. Those are the other requirements. So if your product is best classified as a natural health product, you would need an NPN to market it in Canada. And we always recommend starting with classification to make sure that you're on the right track towards licensure.
Perfect. And do NHPs need to be tested?
Yes, Health Canada has posted several guidance documents, including the Finished Product Specifications Guide and the Quality for Natural Health Products Guide, that explain in detail testing requirements for natural health products. This is an effort to ensure that products are safe and effective for Canadians. Testing can be broken down into finished product testing and stability testing, both of which are required for Canada. Some testing elements that are required are physical, medicinal ingredient assay, medicinal ingredient identity, microbiology, heavy metals, pesticide solvents, and ingredient-specific tests that are listed online. Some testing can be done at the raw material stage, but some also must be done at the finished product stage. Quality Import Solutions, our sister company, offers testing gap analysis to assist in Canadian compliance for testing requirements.
Excellent. And have there been any recent changes that Health Canada has made to the NHP regulations?
Yes, so as of July 2022, Health Canada announced several changes regarding label regulations, updating to a product's facts table, updating font size minimums, and modernizing contact information. Previously, information on the label was freeform, and we suggested they be listed as statements or sections. Now they're standardizing this content to appear more in a drug box, black and white facts table, similar to other drugs and other markets. Previously, there was no font size minimum, and all text was to appear legible to the average eye. Now it must be a 5.5 minimum font for non-medicinal ingredients and a 6-point minimum font for all other required information. Other updates include license holder and importer information can now include a phone number, website, or email rather than the previously required postal information. Please know that this impacts all past NPNs and future NPNs, and the timeline to update will be different based on those two. So if your NPN was issued prior to July 6, 2020, you'll have 6 years to comply. And if it was issued after July 6, 2020, you'll have 3 years to comply. So you do still have a long time to make these changes. As well as mentioned before, site information is now required on the application prior to receiving your NPN. So if no site information is marked, the application is considered hypothetical and can be deprioritized in Health Canada's queue. Another change that Health Canada has been talking about is the listing the differences between elemental and salt contents for minerals and single mineral products. So this would be showing, for example, the amount of total zinc oxide and the amount of elemental zinc on your product. We're happy to review your labels for regulatory and bilingual compliance for new and existing rules for all of our clients. Thank you.
Excellent. Now you just gave us a lot of information in a very short period of time. Yeah. So I'm going to take advantage of the extra few minutes with you to just ask one of the pressing questions. How long does it typically take to receive an NPN number?
Thank you. So there are 3 classifications of natural health products, and the timelines depend on that. So the first class is class 1, which means all ingredients align with one Health Canada monograph, and that is proposed to take 60 days. The second class, class 2, means all ingredients and claims align with 2 or more of Health Canada's monographs, and that is posted to take 90 days. The third class, class 3, means any ingredient or claim steps outside any of Health Canada's monographs, and that is posted to take 210 days. We always caution our clients that Health Canada is currently behind and has a queue for these types of applications. We caution them that the timeline may take somewhat longer than the posted timelines.
Always fair. It's better to under promise and over deliver at all times. Okay, and one other quick question. Are there any government fees associated with licensing NHPs?
So at this time, there are no fees associated with submitting an NHP product license application. This would be beyond fees that are payable to a consultant to assist prepare and submit the application. Please know that this doesn't mean Health Canada will not arrange a cost recovery program in the near or distant future. They've been talking about this previously, and it may come up. Other similar application pathways, such as veterinary health products, do have cost recovery in place, and we could see how this could be transitioned to natural health products eventually.
Okay, thank you very much, Mitchell. Please don't go away because we may have more questions for you. Next, we're going to move on to Rob Blaze, who's going to handle some business development questions. First, Rob, did you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Marie. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your time. Ascensia was very pleased to be asked to contribute to this day. We're a facility located in Windsor, Ontario, and we are again happy to be here. And yeah, let's get to it, I think, Marie.
All right, excellent. So first question for you today, Rob, is how long of a lead time does one need when planning for a production run?
This is a great question and really fundamental to everything we do. And I mean, to be obvious, the more time, the better. I mean, we need to give yourself a lot of time. There's so many variables that we need to flesh out. I mean, price quotes, purchase orders need to be placed, need to be confirmed. Materials need to be purchased. They need to be tested. I mean, after that, it needs to be manufactured and packaged, which is the easy part. and then of course afterwards, and of course we need finished product testing. So if we use the guideline of 12 to 14 weeks for the first run, Marie, that's a great barometer. And then for subsequent runs, I would plan at least 10 to 12 weeks. But again, if we can get 3, 4, 5 months, everybody is better aligned to do the job. So yeah, that's about it.
Key is in the planning, it sounds like.
It's all about the planning, exactly, especially in today's challenged supply lines, right? The supply channels are just a disaster. They continue to be challenging. So the more time, the better.
So that's going to lead me to my next question, Rob. What are the biggest challenges you face when brands are seeking a manufacturer?
Yeah, this one's a tricky one, and I'll stick to brevity. That's for sure, because there's so much to talk about here. I mean, first and foremost, and I would choose the right manufacturing partner, and partner is the key here, Marie, and everybody, because we are your partner, just as you're focused on launching and marketing and selling your products. All we do is we make you the best product possible. So I would first and foremost demand that a third-party auditing organization of some sort is involved with reviewing the plant's certifications. And let me give you an example here. Health Canada has in the past done very little of these site inspections. But if you choose a partner that proves their confidence and commitment to quality and to you, look for an FDA audited facility or an NSF audited facility. These type of organizations. There's 2 or 3 other organizations that are great, but the key here is a third party auditing. What I would do as well is once they say yes, we are audited by a third party, I would request the report, at least the last, say, 2 to 3 reports, as well as any corrective actions. And this may sound like minutia or getting into the weeds, but this is your guarantee that they are who they say they are. The same topic, but taking it to the next step. Once you've got that information, then I would for sure do a walk through the facility and do your own audit. And I expect that there's professionals, and I suspect that Quality Smart could help you with this as well. They will help you with this because essentially you want to walk through this facility and make sure that you would give your loved ones product that comes from this facility. So the next thing that I would look for is responsive, high operating, quality teams, operations teams, warehousing teams, and sales teams at that partner's place of business. Because again, you're going to need answers, and you're going to need to make decisions on a huge amount of variables with your partner. But you need to be involved, and you need to be happy, I guess, with your interactions. It's really a team-based approach. Quite often at Essensia, when we have a new customer, we bring them on in this way, where we have a multidisciplinary team that meets once a week, twice a month, maybe even once a month, but to kick off the project. Everybody is clear as to who's doing what, where, when, and how. And it works better that way, instead of going through just one person and being left a little bit in the dark, let's say. The next thing is certainly manufacturing capabilities or availability. This is probably at no other time one of the most important things. Essentially, does this partner have time to fit you into their facility? One of the things that we saw with COVID-19 in the last, say, 2.5 years, is a tremendous surge of consumers moving towards natural health products. So what that's resulted in is a huge crisis in capacities. We are fortunate; we're in a growth mode right now, and we're building out capacities. So we have extra capacities when people need it. Not everybody's in that situation. And a lot of times, Marie, the manufacturer has their own brands that they do, and really contract manufacturing might be a secondary decision. So you need to make sure that you're going to be in line and get great service. One of the last things that I would share is around formulations. Formulations, obviously, that's what your dreams are made of, and your new product launches, and where you see your company going, and how to help consumers. It is a critical, I guess, partner characteristic that they need to have a great formulations team. And are they willing to do trials? Are they willing to work with you and Quality Smart Solutions to pick the right ingredient and the right version of that ingredient, and at what dosing? Do they charge for this work? That's an important question. Being charged for the work is not always a bad thing. It just means that the company values that proposition to the customer. And quite frankly, when customers want to pay for it, we know that they value it as well. So it often works out super well. But you need to have that conversation with your manufacturer. And then one of the things that I would share with our guests is make sure that you know your formulas inside and out. Part of the onboarding process is certainly you need to review the formula and sign off on the formula, but make sure you get 100% of the information of what the ingredient is and who they purchase the ingredient from. Is it a special ingredient? If it's a vitamin A palmitate, it's not a big deal. A lot of people sell that. But if it's a chocolate flavor for a powder that you're producing, then that is very, very specific. And you need to know who is the supplier and what the code is, because that's your formula. And if something should happen to that manufacturer and you need to pick up the formula and move down the road to the next manufacturer to keep your business running, you need to know what that chocolate's going to be. So that's a critical element. And that really comes in the whole partnership in full disclosure. So in summary to this question, I would say, don't go for the cheapest quotes. Seek to understand what the value you're getting for your money, because your product is everything, and the quality of that product is so important. That's about it.
Thank you, Rob. That was a fantastic explanation. And yes, I cannot personally talk more about the necessity to have ownership of your product and the knowledge of your product.
Sure.
So that leads me to my next question, because we've all been experiencing this over the last few years. But
Sure.
how are you dealing with and assisting your customers dealing with the continued supply line challenges that we've all been experiencing?
Yeah, no, great question. We're all suffering this, whether it's at home or in our businesses. The supply chain and supplies of ingredients, whether it's, again, vitamin A palmitate or calcium or vitamin C or bottles or lids, the supply continues to be really challenging. One of the ways that and really it links back to your first question is, how do you pick a great partner? This could be added to that answer as well, is ensure that your partner has super deep network of suppliers. We've invested in really building partnerships with our suppliers. Part of our certification process, and Jamila will talk about this a little bit later on, but part of being an NSF certified facility and NSF for sport facility is really qualifying your suppliers, making sure that they're giving you exactly what you want and what the customers want. So it's a deep network of suppliers and having a rigorous supplier qualification process. One of the huge things that's super important, and it goes back to your first question about how much time do you need? the brand owners, the business, the people who run the business, they need to become business forecasting experts, and we can do this together. I've done this my entire career, whether it's been on my own businesses or working with my customers' businesses. There's a way to be able to build a forecast that it's not going to be 100% right, but if it's 75% right, then it's way better than not doing a forecast. The reason why we do forecasts is we like to book the time ahead of time in our manufacturing facility, but also, especially in these trying supply chain times, we need to book your purchases, your purchases and your orders as soon as possible. So if you know you're going to do 5,000 bottles of a certain product, or 50,000, or quite frankly, whatever, if you tell us ahead of time, we can work with our partners to basically secure you materials at a guaranteed price. Usually, I mean, it's an open-ended question, an open-ended process, but become forecasting experts and work with your partner manufacturer to put down blanket orders, basically, and let people know what you want to do, because they'll hold it for you. The next strategy that our supply team has been working with, along with our formulations team and the quality team, is really about recommending alternative options. This is easy if it's a cap, if you need a red cap and there's no red caps and it's going to take 14 weeks to get a red cap, we'll put a white cap on it. That's not a big deal. The marketing guys will be upset, but it'll work. But if it's a certain type of magnesium versus say a magnesium bisglycinate versus a magnesium oxide, there's ways of doing that and still remaining compliant that we can help you with. And one of the last things that a lot of people have relied on, I think, is we're simply air freighting a lot of materials in. So if things are held up in international ports, if the orders come in a little bit late, there's always an opportunity to throw it on a plane and buy it a ticket to Canada through Pearson. So that's about it, Marie. I would say forecasting is so important.
So what I took from your statements there is we're looking at planning, ownership of your own product, participation in communication, and always keeping those cost considerations in mind, as they will vary.
Yeah, exactly. And you need an open-ended, transparent relationship with your manufacturing partner, because if something goes wrong, and it will go wrong, it's not the end of the world. There are solutions, and we need to discuss them and align together on them.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now we're going to speak with Tara about some of the retail landscape for NHPs. Tara, did you want to take a moment to introduce yourself and your organization or your firm?
Sure, I'd love to. So Bruin and Associates is a sales agency. We interface between the brands and the Canadian retailers. We work really in a rather boutique fashion, where we work with specifically food, drug, and mass retailers in Canada, representing brands as they enter into that market space. We do a lot of these types of conversations about what and how, and so I'm excited to share some of this information that we seem to talk a lot about in the beginning stages of getting to know a brand and their plans, and hear some of the questions that you have for me.
Excellent. So we're going to start just at the top. And what retail opportunities are there in Canada for NHPs?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, just like other regions of the world, every retailer from food, drug, and mass has a wellness category where they sell vitamins and supplements, most of which are all NHP products. So it's really, unless you're food, coming in to sell in that space is really unlimited in those retailers.
Excellent. Okay. Next we have, what are some of the retail requirements to sell NHPs? Example, we know that Costco has their special requirements and whatnot. So what other challenges or requirements have you come across when it comes to specific retailers?
So I think the biggest thing that we deal with, or the most significant one to state right out of the gates, is the listing fees or slotting fees. Canadian retailers, for the most part, and there's a few that do not, but for the most part, they charge a slotting fee or a listing fee just simply for putting your item on shelf. That slotting fee or listing fee doesn't guarantee you anything, except having that position on the shelf, having the opportunity to sell through their retail outlets to the general populace. And I think that that's the biggest one that differs from other regions, specifically the US. And of course, in the natural health food channel, that is, we rarely see listing fees. Some of the other items that are unique to retailers in food, drug, and masses, some of them have a path to retail that is a little bit challenging, I'll say. So, for example, in this wellness category, to sell into Walmart, you must actually ship your items into McKesson. McKesson then sells into Walmart. So it's not, so the path to retail is a little bit more complicated or convoluted than, you're not selling directly to the retailer in many circumstances in Canada.
Okay, so that basically leads me to my next question, which is, how do I bring products into my country shipping directly to a retailer? Do my products need to land at a site licensed facility first?
So I honestly think that this is a better question for Mitchell to answer, just because it is so specific. I mean, I can take a shot at it, Mitchell, but but I think it's a more of a quality, smart solutions response.
Mitchell, how are you feeling? Do you want to take that one on?
Can you repeat the question just to make sure I have it in full? But I think I know the answer.
Okay. How do I bring my products into my country, shipping directly to a retailer? Do products need to land at a site licensed facility first?
So the way Health Canada has it explained is that all sites involved in manufacturing, packaging, labeling, and warehousing are to be annexed to an importer site license. So Quality Import Solutions, our sister company, holds an importer site license, and we do annex foreign sites and domestic warehouses for our clients. Now, what we always recommend is that the first landing site in Canada be an annexed warehouse, but there are some instances where the product can be held at the previous foreign site until released and then shipped directly to the retailer. But again, what we suggest is that the first landing site is an annexed warehouse.
So that's terrific, and I knew that was going to be your answer. So and if I can just take that one step further and talk from the retailer's perspective, is they want to be able to reorder easily and quickly, and therefore having your inventory. And what we would always suggest is having your entire lot that you have manufactured brought into the country and set at a warehouse that is obviously site licensed. And then from there, fulfillment happens into the retailer. A lot of times, if you consider that your warehouse may be in California, for example, the time that you would need, the lead time that you would need to provide the retailer with in order to fulfill replenishment orders would be unheard of. Like, it's just too long of a lead time to allow them to be able to ship directly from the warehouse directly into the retailer. So we always suggest having inventory in Canada makes it a far smoother process when it comes to fulfillment from the retailer's perspective.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, one more question. How should I best enter the Canadian market as a startup? Do you have
Yeah.
any advice to those startups?
For sure. I think when it comes to a startup, the first question that I would always ask is, are you looking for a proof of concept? If you're only looking for a proof of you have your proof of concept from the United States, let's say, then we can take that information and we can utilize that for what kind of strategy are we going to put into your launch in Canada. And in that case, what we would recommend is that you then consider, how did you become successful in the United States or in your country? And let's duplicate that strategy in Canada. Meaning, if your marketing strategy, your go-to-market strategy, etc., all of those things, we would highly recommend you follow a very similar path, because that's how you have gained consumer awareness and consumer interest and obviously success. If you don't have a proof of concept, so let's say it's a brand new ingredient, a brand new product format, whatever it may be, and you're looking for that proof of concept, how I would recommend that you enter the Canadian market is in the independent health food channel, because that channel has just you touch so many individual salespeople who work at their stores, and they touch so many individual consumers that your feedback will be far richer, and you'll be able to utilize that feedback to determine where you need to improve or change strategy or what have you. That would be our suggestion for sure. And then you take those learnings and you determine if that would be ideal to move into a larger setting like food, drug, and mass. I had commented that if you already have proof of concept, you determine, use that, and then plot your path to success very similarly. We also encourage recognizing who is your end consumer. And that be a major question that you discuss too when you're looking at how are you coming into the country.
I like to call that "don't pull the target" method. All right, so one last question, and then we are going to move on to some manufacturing and contract manufacturing questions. So Tara, can I get a commitment from retailers before I actually invest in the NPN process?
So long ago, maybe, but not anymore. It is, yeah, it's expected. The Canadian retailers expect that we, or the brand, do check all of their boxes before they're coming and looking for the opinion of the retailer. There are no commitments prior to an NPN for sure.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all very helpful information, and we may again circle back to you in a moment, Tara.
Great.
So Jamila Mamati, did I say that right?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So I have some questions for you about contract manufacturing, but I'm going to give you a moment to introduce yourself as well, please.
Yes, my name is Jamila. I'm from Essentia Contract Manufacturer, which is in the Windsor, Ontario, Canada. So I'm from actually with Rob together in the same organization. So we are a contract manufacturer for the dietary supplement.
Very good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So we are going to get some of that great information out of your mind and into this group of people today. So what licenses and certification does Essentia hold?
As a contract manufacturer for the dietary supplement, Health Canada requires to get the site license. But before getting the site license, we need to have a FDA Food and Drug registration. So that's why we have a FDA registration and the site license from the Health Canada. And also because of we have so many different customers, they have a different marketing. So some customers, they have a market for the European countries. So that's why we need to also have a safe food license from the CFIA, and we have a EU registration. And for the certification, because Health Canada recommended one of recommended GMP certification, which is NSF, that is National Sanitation Foundation international certification body. So we have an NSF 173 GMP certificate. We have an NSF 306 sports certificate. And we have a kosher certificate. We have a halal. We have organic. Because of the different customers has a different marketing reason, we have all this required certification as well.
This is amazing. This all circles back to Rob's statement about knowing who your manufacturer is and what they do to prove the proof in their pudding.
Yes.
So you guys have definitely taken those steps. All right. So are you audited by the government or any other organizations?
Yes, we have an annual NSF audit certification is for 1 year. So that's why every year we have 3 days of NSF audit. And then FDA, just this May, we had a FDA 3 days audit. We have Health Canada audit as well. So based on the, the certification, I guess FDA is like once a 5 years if there is no any problem. So far, FDA audit and NSF audit last 2 years, like we have a 0 findings. We are doing very good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty rare. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That speaks a lot to how much you guys care about what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, why do you have QA agreements?
QA quality agreement is very important for the product owner and contract manufacturer responsibilities assignment, because product brand owner is product license holder is very responsible for so many things, but at the same time contract manufacturer is also responsible for so many other tasks. So that's why it's very important to have the clarification whose responsibility is what, especially when there is adverse event or like a customer complaint or handling of like a product recall. So product owner should know what's their responsibility, and the contract manufacturer should know what's our responsibility, because of there's very time sensitivity, and within 4 hours or sometimes 72 hours we have to provide all the documentation to the product owner, and the product owner has to know how they can deal with the Health Canada or FDA for reporting, for handling this product recall and adverse event.
Okay, and what types of NHP licensing do you hold as an organization?
So as a contract manufacturer, we are actually most of the time like manufacturing other customers like owned product. But however, recently, because of especially 2019, because of the epidemic, we started to have a brand product owner for the hand sanitizers. At the same time, recently we are developing, we registered some vitamins and some antioxidants product for the product licensing.
Excellent. And I guess that just goes with the growth and demand for immune systems and staying healthy and happy as Canadians. Okay, so next, how do you guarantee quality products?
So, for guaranteeing final product quality is based on the receiving incoming raw materials quality testing, review, release, and also after the final product, we have to make sure this final product test result, physical characteristics, assay potency, and regulatory testing, just like microbial purity and chemical purity, meets the predetermined specification. Usually product owner, they provide us their product specification, what kind of test, what kind of physical characteristics, assay, or regulatory marketing testing they need. But at the same time, as a contract manufacturer, we are also responsible based on the Health Canada finished product specification guidelines. We have to also make sure their requirement, their compliance. And then we also make sure after the final product, we have to make sure all the test results meets the predetermined specification, and then so that we can release, so that we can make sure the product quality is safe.
Perfect. So a lot of checks and balances and making sure that, what's in the bottle is on the jar, which is, big for all of us.
There's a lot of moving parts, Marie, that's for sure. And
Yes.
I mean, this just goes to, again, choosing the right partner, right? Because
exactly.
this is your product, this is your brand, and you're entrusting us with your baby. So we need to make sure that everybody knows what they're responsible for, and everybody's doing what they're responsible for. And that includes manufacturing, but it also includes the brands. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So we have a few more questions I'm going to run through, because I do know that manufacturing and what those specifications are a little daunting, especially for startups and even those who've worked in the industry for a long time. So when they're looking to you guys or your team, what kind of in-house testing and laboratories do you have?
Currently, we have two labs. One is analytical lab for the identification of incoming raw materials, and we have a packaging component testing as well. And also we have some chemical assays analytical lab. Also microbiological lab, we are doing this microbial purity testing like total aerobic bacteria, yeast and mold, and pathogen. And we also, during the manufacturing, we have in-process QC testing for the disintegration tablet, for the variability of tablet capsules. So we do the in-process testing in-house as well.
Yes, are just checks and balances all the way along the way.
Yes.
Not sure why anyone would go anywhere else. Shouldn't say that, but again, that proof in the pudding portion.
There's a lot of great manufacturers out there. We just need to make sure that you pick the right one. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So how do you assist your customers in meeting regulatory requirements for NHPs?
First of all, of course, like when we have the quotation stage, they provide us their formula and NPN number. We have to make sure this product has an NPN number. So based on the formula and then their digital label, we are reviewing their label and the formula against the NPN database from the Health Canada website to make sure ingredients compliance, and also label. Even if like a product license holder is responsible for their label claim, label design, but still our responsibility as a contract manufacturer to make sure their label claims, all the label design meets the Health Canada dietary supplementary label guideline requirements.
Yeah.
So we assess if there is like a deviation or non-compliance. We always provide them the corrective information. Ask them to revise. And also, if there is some deviation or non-compliance against the formula, we always request them to, before manufacturing, to do some amendment or notification to the Health Canada. And also, we also help them because of they provide us their product specification. But some customers, they have very strong quality department. They are very good at it. But some customers, they don't have it. So we work as a partnership. We help them for all of their quality for incoming raw material, packaging component specification, finished product specification. We also assist them their like a stability study as well, because sometimes if they don't have the stability data for the shelf life assignment, so we also assist them to establish the stability study and help them for the shelf life assignment as well.
Okay, so you just took my next three questions.
Yes.
But let's move on to how does shelf life work for those people who are very new to the industry? How do we determine that? Who's responsible for shelf stability data?
So actually, product license holder is responsible for the stability data and the expiration date assignment. But however, recently, Health Canada also required as a contract manufacturer, we have to monitor the shelf life, assigned shelf life, which meets the require like a expiration deadlines.
Yeah.
Contract manufacturer responsibility is we have to make sure we have to monitor the shelf life is right. So it's
This
both,
is
yeah.
This is a super important question, and Tara, I think you'd probably agree that retailers are all looking for 36 months shelf life, right, for when it gets into their warehouse, and then they look for whatever 24 or 28 months for it to be on shelf. So this is super important to most of the customers that we talk to, and it's a tricky one because they need to understand that they're responsible for instigating or establishing a shelf life process. As the manufacturer, we, namely Jamila and her team, will look at all the documentation on the inputs, so the ingredients, and they'll come up with a recommendation if asked. Okay, for example, if it's a vitamin C slow release, pretty simple formula. When we get ingredients from our suppliers, it has a shelf life on it. And usually the shelf life in this case is 36 months. So if we have a bunch of inputs that are all 36-month shelf life, we can estimate or recommend that a starting point be 36 months. But the brand owner still has the responsibility to prove that assumption. It's the chicken or the egg argument, especially when you're launching products, right? Which comes first? Well, you need to recommend, you have a directional. Some people choose to be very conservative and go for 24 months, for example, and then prove out 36 months once they achieve 36 months. Yeah. So it's a tricky one, and it's not to be taken, lightly. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at the retailer level, they want to know that they're going to have that product for a long enough time to move through what they are.
Exactly. And the product stays wholesome and keeps its, keeps its potency as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've covered most, but is there anything, Jamila, that you'd like to share about final product specification requirements that you haven't touched on yet?
Final product specification is usually based on the one product owner when they do to the NPN application based on the nature of the product, nature of the ingredient, they assign the specification. But at the same, because Health Canada has a requirement, Health Canada has a very standard finished product specification guideline. Based on that one, product owner they design. But sometimes if they don't have the knowledge about that one, we help them based on the guidelines, based on the nature of the ingredient. We can help them to create the finished product specification.
Excellent. Okay, so all of you have just shared an amazing amount of information. I'm glad I have a little bit of experience in NHPs myself first. It's that a lot of that would have been a lot to digest. Is there anything anybody would like to kind of share that we haven't touched on yet before getting into some questions? No, everyone's good. All right, let's take a look at what questions we have. Let's see. Okay, from Abdul, we have how deep the NSF and FDA go into supplier certification programs during audits to be relied on, and are audit reports transparent if not shared by organizations?
Sounds like a good one for Jamila.
This is the question. Can you please
repeat it one more time?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back. Abdul.
I think there's two parts, right, Marie? There's a first part and a second part.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So our first is how deep does the NSF and FDA go into supplier certification programs during an audit to be relied on? And are audit reports transparent if not shared by organizations? And then the second part to Abdul's question is quality agreement with manufacturer partner necessary?
Yes, NSF audit usually takes 3 days. The first time is 3 days. The 3 days, usually it covers at least 220 questions. So that question covers a lot of areas. Just like I can't go over all the detail, but usually like a main part is like our food safety plan, like food safety program. Food safety program usually this is your facility engineering, facility sanitation program, facility food defense program, like a security program, an allergen control program, and personal hygiene program, and the PPE, PPE program, and also production control, like production control and from incoming material to incoming testing, raw material releasing, reviewing, manufacturing in process, and final product specification testing. So it covers whole this FDA part 21, part 11, part 10, all the subparts. It covers every detail, and every detail covers every proof, every like a worksheet. They have batch document, batch record, and even the label, claim, and warehouse, lab. So they go through so many detail and so many proof as well.
It's
And
a
if the 3 days, if this first time to 3 days, if we have a citations or like a because citation like a major, minor, critical, if there is like based on this citations critical degree and my major, they provide like a grade a grading system like A, B, C, D. So if you are A or B, so only 3 days enough. If it is B like C or D, so they will after 6 months they will come again one day audit to make sure we have a corrective action is implemented.
for sure.
So this is very wide, very detailed. Usually, we don't share the customers all the detail, but by electronic or something. But usually, most of the time, customer come to our facility to the on-site audit as well. So that during that time, customers can review all the audit detail, and also they can also review all our documentation, our process as well on site.
One of just really, really quickly, I just want to, I mean, NSF or the FDA, they basically come into our facility and they don't shut us down, but I mean, forensically looking at our books and diving into our processes with the quality team, it basically shuts us down for 3 days because they take over the plant. They want to make sure that everything is happening the way it should. Specifically, and Jamila went through a huge amount of detail, and there's, I mean, she could spend hours answering that question. But specifically on vendor qualifications, they look for that type of detail on vendor qualifications. The vendor needs to have their due diligence spotless.
And also, like auditors, they go to the actual manufacturing. They observe all the procedures. So they observe if they see anything non-compliant, they just cite it immediately for the corrective action. So that's why it's a very, very serious, very long hours like audit observation, inspection.
The second part of the question about sharing the audit with customers, and I know, Jamila, we haven't shared recently to customers, but in the past, customers such as Walmart or GNC or Walgreens in the US, for their consumer protection, they ask for NSF audits to the point where through agreements, non-disclosure agreements, that type of thing, they will request to be able to speak to NSF directly about our facility without our intervention. So it's quite a serious affair. More so in the United States, from my personal experience, than in Canada. But I think Canada is going to be, it'll be more aggressive as far as third-party audits coming in the, in the next few years. That's for sure. Does that answer the gentleman's question?
I believe it does. Abdul, if you have any follow-up to that, feel free to type it into the comment section, and I'll take a look at that in a moment. Okay.
Product owner can come anytime on site audit as well.
Perfect. No, good point.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Arthur, we have what makes a product an NHP? The guidance material in Health Canada is not very straightforward and very open to interpretation as to what constitutes an NHP. Do you have a general rule of thumb that you would use? I'm going to pitch that one to Mitchell. You've been quiet for a little while.
Yeah, there's a couple of criteria that Health Canada look at for products on the NHP food interface. The first one being the dosage format. So is it a tablet or a capsule, or is it something that Canadians customarily eat as a food? Whether it's providing an ingredient or whether it's a whole food is one of the first criteria that I look at. Obviously, like a breakfast cereal would be a traditional food, and a liquid gel would be more of a drug type, and that would be an NHP. So it really comes down to product specifics. After dosage format, you would look at ingredients, whether they're permissible as foods or whether they're permissible as natural health products, and then always taking into consideration that how is it traditionally consumed, how is it seen on the market currently, also would play a role.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mitchell. Rob, did you have anything you wanted to add into that, or Tara?
I mean, one of the greatest pieces of advice that I can give new customers looking to launch a brand or develop products is really walk through the stores, do a competitive set check, and find out, who's doing what, where, when, and how, and what category, right? And it'll give you a lot of answers, right?
Excellent. Okay, so Brian Yam, I do see a question about Amazon. That is a loaded question. I think we can have that addressed via an email because that's probably a whole nother hour on its own. So let's look at. Okay, so, and I'm going to give each person a moment to address Mohammed's question, but his statement is, it sounds like there is a lot of overhead cost to introducing NHPs in Canada, that it makes it unfeasible for small businesses to start in the sector. How do you help small businesses take off and stay compliant but still profitable? Let's start with Tara.
It's a great question.
So that is a great question. And I think this is a question that all small businesses in every sector of society are dealing with today, is the expenses and how do you manage them and how do you be profitable. From our perspective, as that liaison in between the retailer and really acting as an advisor to how to become a retail ready brand. What we would say is you've really got to narrow down to your top performers. So if you have experience in another country and you know that your sales are indicating there are 3 runaway SKUs, they are definitely the top. They're the ones that everybody starts with. I like the thin edge of the wedge. It's the way to enter into the marketplace. It narrows your costs down by only focusing on your strong performers. And I think that everybody on the panel would support that kind of thought process too, especially when you've had the opportunity of being a brand in another region where you may have now developed into, 20 items, 30 items, et cetera, because the brand is established. That would be my first suggestion for that.
Tara, when you were presenting earlier, you made a comment that I thought was right on and super, just a great comment. And that was, you may want to look at Health Food Channel to start your introduction to Canada, just because the barriers are so much less than, huge listing fees at Shoppers Drug Mart or Loblaws, right? So, and the great thing, and you mentioned it as well, the Health Food is, they do a great job at advising consumers as to what they might need. So if you get them on board at Health Food, then the path to success is easier and less expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think
Yeah.
that, so we have some brands that, because their strategy, and I'll just say from the US is, heavy TV campaigning, these are not small businesses, that would not be identified as a small business. So when they launch into Canada, they're launching with the same strategy of heavy TV advertising, and they don't want to go into the independent health channel because they've already have a proof of concept in drug and food. In that, developing the proof of concept for your brand in Canada, there's no better place than the independent health food channel. These people love their customers. They love the brands that they have found, and they're so supportive in providing feedback to what do you need to do to make your brand better, stand out, et cetera, et cetera. And then, Rob, to your point, we start every single new relationship with a category evaluation.
Yeah.
We look at every retailer, we compare the brands, and those are things that would allow a small business to really hone what are you going to bring to market? Where are your best successes?
Excellent. And okay, so we've just hit the 1 hour mark. Are there any closing remarks anyone would like to make, or anything that you think our viewers today need to keep at the forefront of their mind as they're going through these NHP processes?
I can start.
Perfect.
Just want to let everyone know that we're happy to help any new clients or existing clients enter the Canadian market and provide all of the expertise and guidance that we have with our well-rounded team. So we're looking forward to working with you all.
And Rob, would you like to make any closing comments today?
Yeah, I think Mitchell hit it right on the head. It's a partnership. So we'd love to hear from people and help you bring products to Canada or launch products to Canada. We help a lot of customers and look forward to chatting.
Yeah, and I think I'll just kind of round that out too. I think from our perspective, from that retailer interface, we're happy to give advice. We're looking forward to speaking to whomever may have some questions about what that retail environment looks like in Canada and how to tap into that market. Yeah, we would consider ourselves I would consider myself the ultimate shopper, so I know. And I pride myself in really loving this category. So, you take the experts around the table here, and with the years of experience that we've all had dealing in Canada, both as, individual consumers and also in our chosen field, I think we've got some great expertise to offer.